Good evening to everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Sports Bytes. Thank you for tuning in. For tonight, we are honored to have a very distinguished guest. But before we introduce him, allow me to call on my co-host for tonight. First of all, we have Rica Aquino, Baby Dynamite. A very distinguished guest. Rica,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me tonight. And hello to everybody.
All
Hello.
right.
Yes, exciting episode.
Then we also have for yung mga debutants tayo tonight, no? First,
Yes, exciting ito. Oo.
a very lovely Roan Beltran.
Hello, good evening everyone. So, thank you for sa mga nanonood ngayon. And we are very excited to hear from Sir Philip Pico.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
And last but not the least, kakasali lang ito sa Sports Bytes as one of our volleyball writers. Ang galing niya magsulat. Please welcome Mr. Andy Fiel.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you, Brian, for the intro. Good evening, Sir Philip, Sir
Good evening.
Vince,
Good
Roan,
evening,
Rika.
Andy.
Okay, it's very exciting for me to be here.
And of course, nandiyan rin si ating kasama, si Vince Juico.
Hi, Brian, Andy, Rika, Rowan. Thanks for having me. And we look forward to an interesting conversation this evening. Good evening to the viewers of Sports Bites.
And ngayon, doon na tayo. Our very special guest this evening, binanggit na kanina, no, the chairman of the Philippine Superliga and Philippine Athletics and Field Association President Philip Elio Juico. Sir, good evening po. Thank you for gracing the show.
Good evening, Brian. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, kumusta po?
Good evening.
Alam po natin, busy kayo nga. This is the first day of the Philippine Superliga. How are things on your end?
Well, just a moment.
Sige sir, sige po.
I'll call you later. I'm in interview. I'll call you later, anak. Ako, yung apo ko, tumawag. Miss ko na. Sabi ako, anyway, kilala ni Vincent. Anyway, yes, we're very busy. I've been monitoring them because I cannot go there. I'm above 65.
Okay.
So, hindi pwede. We are not allowed sa bubble, no? So, it's a learning experience for us. We've, of course, applied for this, the permit. We submitted everything that was needed. Whatever additional requirements, we submitted and changed. And now we're here. And our people really feel the impact of all of these regulations. Medyo stricto. So we can understand, but we understand why it is like that. Because sabi nga, it's better to have an overabundance of caution. Better to be safe than sorry. So we're abiding by all of those rules. And you just have to be very patient with one another. Especially you've got young players, young ladies over there who are not used to being restricted to certain areas, to certain movements, limited. So you just have to be very patient with each other. And may impact ito sa personality mo if you're there so long in a bubble. And I know because I talked to some people before during the middle of the bubble, which was I think July or August last year, and they were saying things like that. And now we've confirmed it for ourselves. So yun, if there is anything that if people want to learn anything from us, if they think we're worth talking to, we'll be happy to share our experiences and whatever template. We already have a template for this. So the indoor tournament, which is going to be late April or mid-April, is going to be easier but not less complicated. But it's going to be easier.
Sir, originally the PSL Beach Valley was set last year of November, but it was postponed because of the Typhoon Ulysses. So finally, PSL Beach Volleyball gets underway today. Despite the adversities, you were able to push it through. Is this a sign of relief, or are there still concerns that need to be addressed?
Well, of course, it is a sigh of relief, and we thank God for allowing us to go through with this. It is, as I said, it's a learning experience. Your patience is tested, and but because your patience is tested, I'm sure God will give you additional blessings and grace because your patience was tested, no? And so we've learned from this thing, and we're happy. And I must make a note that we are the first non-professional league in this country to be given this permit. The first two, basketball and football, were professional leagues, and we're the first in the non-pro ranks in volleyball, and we're happy because that in itself is an achievement, and also we will have to know what we went through to get through this. Hindi naman kami pinahirapan. It's just that everybody was very, very careful from up there sa IATF down to the regional office, down to the security people of SBMA.
Sir, you mentioned about PSL being non-pro, di ba po? It's a feat that you already started your bubble. So there are some reports that you mentioned that you are keeping PSL as a non-pro, but
Yes.
you are also open to a possible merger with PVL. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that
Well, about
statement po?
yung remaining pro, the only reason why we would want to remain non-pro at this time is there is so much uncertainty. May pandemic na nga tayo, and then we will get into a new arrangement. So you're just adding to the uncertainty and to the moving parts. Dumadami na masyado yung moving parts eh. So keep it simple at this time. Take a risk but manage your risk. Take risks but manage your risk. And besides, if kung matutuloy yan, I think there is only room for one pro league in this country. In the United States, remember, they had two basketball leagues, ABA and NBA. They had to merge, but both were professional. They had to merge because the economy of the United States is 1 million times more dynamic than ours. And they already found it difficult for them to survive kung sabay-sabay sila. Okay? So, and that, kumbaga sa pie na pinaghahatian, the pie that they were sharing was expanding and it lumiliit na because of the pandemic. Eh. So that is what we mean. And we're open to any arrangement, but it has to depend on our team owners and the plans that we made in 2018. We have a strategic plan that we made, a 4-year strategic plan. We are now entering the last year of that strategic plan. That was 2018 to 2022. And it was mentioned there in that plan that at some point we will have to look at the possibility of turning professional. They know that, the team owners know that. It's in the strategic plan. It was mentioned. It was not ignored as if it did not exist. So it's there.
So it's still a possibility, but as of now, you are still non-pro, and maybe in
Yes,
the near
yes,
future
because
will remain non-pro.
yeah, well, I don't know how long that future is because you know
Everything's uncertain po,
this
no?
pandemic was not planned, no. So I don't know how much more planning we can do. All I'm saying is that we're avoiding complex situations, a complex league in a complex macro environment, no? Ang hirap na nga eh. So stick to what you were doing before, do it well, and then consider other alternatives later on.
And sure enough, sir, your March looks like it's really a busy. You're starting off the month really busy, no? Very exciting start.
Thank you.
Sir, I just like to ask this from Gab Ferreras. Medyo mahaba-haba tong question ni Gab. Well, any plans for SEA Games gold medalist Christine Haliasgo? Because
As
malabo na raw sila ni Tabal maqualify sa Olympics.
well,
Is Sige, sir,
I'm
go ahead.
reading the rest of the question. Pero you
Sige,
want
sir.
me to just to answer first si Christine Algasgo?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Si Christine is aware that she is medyo far from the Olympic qualifying mark, no? And so she has decided to concentrate on the SEA Games and to continue competing. And if there are qualifying tournaments, which there are none, she will participate in them. For all you know, baka, marathon, may chamba rin yan eh. It's not unlike the sprints or the 200, yung mga long distance na yan, anything can happen. So, her mindset is towards the SEA Games. So, and that's what we're preparing for. Those who are abroad, like EJ, Christina Nak, Eric Ray, Natalie Uy, except for EJ, they're all aiming to qualify for the Olympics. And there are so many competitions. Although a number of them were canceled because of the weather situation in Texas, which reached all the way up to Arkansas, where Christina was supposed to compete in the American League Track Series. So that's the one part of it. So, okay. Is that okay? Did I clarify that?
Yes, sir. Pero, sorry, dapat pala mamaya ako na tinanong to. Volleyball nga pala
Hindi,
pinag-uusapan
okay
natin.
lang. Halo-halo na para baka makalimutan mo pa eh.
Hindi, sir. Ito si, I would like to give the floor to Andy kasi Andy has a lot of questions. It's time about volleyball.
Okay.
Take it away, Andy.
Good evening, Sir Philip.
Hi.
I and your son share a common ground in our high school. I also came from LaSalle Green Hills in high school.
What's your last name, Andy?
Fiel, sir.
Fiel.
Batch
Okay, sorry, I
89.
heard. Oo. Alam mo si EJ Fiel.
File, sir. He's
File.
of German descent.
Okay.
I'm more of a Spanish descent po.
Okay.
I'm really interested and excited to be here with you, sir, because it's my first time to talk to you and to meet you. So it's a thrill for me to be
Oo naman.
asking
Okay lang.
questions. I'm actually curious, sir, because you already have a lot of accolades. You've been in the corporate world for so long, and with the sports sector for most of your most of your life. What drives you, or what is your passion to continue contributing to not just the corporate world but within the sports world?
Yeah, to contribute to anything that is important to the country, to make a difference, and to look at your own potential. Each one of us, if I may be philosophical, at some point you get to wonder, you have to think and pray about it. What is your purpose in life? Ano bang meaning ng buhay na ito para sa akin? And for me, it is service. Helping others. And volleyball is a way of helping others. You provide activity for others. You provide some kind of livelihood for others. Same with track and field. And at the same time, while you're doing that, you're trying to bring honor to the country. And it's each one has his own passion. Okay? Each one has his own, to put it medyo lightly, hobby. And people play golf. They're dedicated to it. They spend their time on it, and they go crazy over it. And some people play poker. Some people play bowling. Some people. It just so happens in my case, I enjoy. My interests are the free markets, education management, human rights, the promotion of democracy, agribusiness, and sports development. So those are my interests, and I try to be of value in these areas to see what I can contribute. And sports is one of them.
Would you say you would characterize yourself as a Renaissance man, or you would like to dabble in different um, parts of industry or arts?
Yeah, well, I try my hand at many things uh, to get a better perspective of the rest. Okay, without being a jack of all trades and master of none. No? That's the last thing that I want to. That's the thing that I want to avoid. That's the last thing I want to happen. You're like a dilettante. palipat-lipat ka lang dyan, no? Kung saan merong action o kung saan merong... No, my mind is fixed into what are my areas of interest. Okay, for example, I have no interest because I have no talent in engineering design. Wala. Architecture, wala ako dun eh. So, what are my interests? Political science, sports, as I said, defense and promotion of democracy, defense and promotion of human rights, free markets, uh, agribusiness, agricultural development, uh, sustainability, climate change. Yun ang mga ano. And those things enter into what you're doing. Like for example, you are worried about climate change, sustainability in PATAFA, in track and field, and even in volleyball. Because climate change affects outdoor volleyball. Meron yan. It's a system, nagkakadikit-dikit eh. So those are my interests. I don't know if I don't really know what you mean by being a Renaissance man, but I just have varied interests.
Yes, sir. Also, I know, sir, you are an educator also by profession. How do you put this as an educator, also of service to other people? How do you put your role as an educator to being the head of PSL and head of PATAFA? How does this role come into your interests in PSL and PATAFA?
Well, let's put it this way. If I am the head of the agency, let's put it this way. Maybe my colleagues are also my students whom I teach. They learn from me, but I also learn from them. And I learn a lot from them. And I exercise and whatever it is that you're doing, you always have to do some kind of planning, some kind of thinking, whether it's education and all of that. So my role is to also help foster values, no? The right kind of values, the values that will contribute to nation building. So that is my role. Alam mo, in Lasal, the brothers, and this may sound corny or trite, pero Lasal yan. One brother told me, what I asked, sabi niya, the function, the role of a teacher is, don't laugh, is to bring his students to heaven. In other words, turuan mo ng tama what is right and wrong, proper values. So you can contribute to the way that person will conduct his life and live his life out in society.
Thank you, sir. One more question, if I may, sir. Because I had the opportunity to be part of the 2013 PSL men's tournament as one of the coaches for Via Mare Voyagers.
Ah,
Uh, and it was a well organized tournament for the men and the women. Every year you do a lot of really good well organized tournaments for men and women. My question is, sir, how how would how do you plan to improve your product, the PSL as a product? How do you plan to improve moving forward, even with the pandemic still present?
well, a lot of this will be technology driven, as it is now, right now here. No? This is technology driven. We do not meet. We cannot meet. We'd rather not meet. Uh, so we use Zoom. Now, we are using already technology in PSL, have been using it for quite some time by the introduction of the video challenge, the video challenge system. We're the only league that uses that. We're the only league that uses that regularly in the whole of Southeast Asia. Thailand uses it during the semifinals or finals lang. Sa PSL, as early as the quarterfinals or the semifinals, we use it already. Okay, so that's using technology to make the game more credible, to manage the game better, to protect the integrity of the game and the people organizing and managing the games. No? So that's one. In the area of communication, we have to use technology also. Again, you lack, let's say, on a practical level, you lack TV time because there's so much demand for it. You go digital.
Mhm.
and you can improve that digital thing, and you can expand it. And it makes sense because the youth seem to be more interested in doing digital rather than watching TV. And they tend to watch, let's say, few minutes here, then move. Few minutes there, then move. So if you got your sponsors there, you make sure that your spills are not too long, so that it's completed by the viewer, no? And then until he or she can transfer to something else.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, okay, sir, may tanong lang dito yung isang colleague namin dito sa Sports Bytes. Si Sir, I think you know him. Si Sir Dennis Eroa.
Oh, it's Dennis. Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Dennis.
Yan. Ask lang po siya about negotiations regarding the future of PSL TV coverage.
I'm sorry, how's that again?
He's asking about the negotiations regarding for the future of PSL TV coverage.
It's ongoing with the GMA7. We've met several times, and they discussed with us some of their plans. We discussed some of our plans, and they go hand in hand. Uh, you can marry the plans. So right now we have not been able to talk to them again since the last week because we're busy with this, and they know, and they are aware, and I think they're even watching how we are conducting the coverage. No, GMA7 is very interested in that because they will have their baptism of fire next year when they do the NCAA. So they're looking at how things are done. They will be having their own production, the NCAA. So we are discussing in that, even that background, no, that they have the NCAA too. So negotiations are going well. It's actually the ball is in our court. We just have to look at certain things.
Ito sir, follow-up niya. I don't know if you answered this already kanina. Also, bakit talagang ayaw mag-pro ng PSL?
Kasi nga, una-una, pandemic tayo. Ang daming uncertainty. Dadagdagan mo pa ng uncertainty dyan. So, stick to what you were doing, which you were doing very well before. Stick to it. And then number two, there is no room for more than one pro league. And number three, we have to look at the definition of what makes a professional a professional. Do the PSL players fit that definition? A professional is a player who is full-time, who does volleyball, eats volleyball, plays volleyball, trains volleyball, sleeps volleyball, and does nothing else. About 30% of the PSL players are either students, are hotel executives, teachers, sales executives, and the different member of the HR committees of their offices. And the clubs in the PSL are not like the clubs in the United States. They are there for profit. So let's say the Chicago Bulls, they lose money. They close the club. They sell the franchise. Eh, dito naman, wala namang losing or gaining dito eh. Yung mga clubs, yung mga teams, it's all out. It's all advertising expenditure, marketing. So iba eh. The facts are different. And that's what I've been trying to emphasize to the PSC and to other authorities. Teka muna, iba ang facts eh. Kung sasabihin mo, professional dahil tumanggap ng pera, eh lahat na yun tumatanggap ng pera or some kind of allowance. Ano ka? Allowance yan. Food allowance pa. Subsistence allowance. So, let's look at the facts very closely.
Okay.
But as I said, there are for strategic reasons, for business reasons, and for practical reasons. Bakit naman kami pilipat, papalit? Eh, ang gulo na nga eh. Tapos tatanungin, ang dami-dami ng questions sa mga team owners gaano katagal, anong tax implications na, gaano katagal bago makakakuha ng lisensya, Kung naging pro ka ba, pwede ka bumalik sa, so many things for which we cannot provide answers.
All right. Roan, Rica, do you have any questions additional before I'll
Sir,
go? Go.
I want to ask Sir Philip kasi this afternoon I was able to watch a live tournament on YouTube.
Sa
And
volleyball,
yes, so for those who want to tune in and for those who want to catch the live tournament, so bale sa Facebook and YouTube siya naka-live yung tournament.
Instagram din.
Sa Instagram din.
Mm. There are 3 platforms there, YouTube, Instagram, at saka Facebook. With the YouTube being the strongest one.
Thank you, sir.
Rica, you have?
Yes, sir, let's go back to what you said a while ago and the question of Andy also about you being a Renaissance man. I'm interested about that kasi you said and also it's very very for someone like me, I'd like to know what your work ethic is, what your principles are. Kasi you give your 100% in everything that you do, and you're very successful. So it's something that we, the younger generation, would like to know, and we're interested in.
Well, first thing, if you commit to something, do it. And do everything that you need to do so that you can comply with your commitment. Walang dalawang usap. And once you do it, give it your all. Approach it with passion, with perseverance, and ika nga with grit. Hindi mo titigilan yan hanggat di tapos or it's not done according to what you think, the way you think it should be done. Okay? In other words, these are nakafocus ka dyan. So that's why be careful with making commitments and try as much as possible to determine what are your limits, no? Sometimes I have difficulty doing that. Sabay-sabay, nagmo-multitask, no? But you just have to and you have to study a lot, by the way. You have to keep on reading, finding out what's going on outside, because all of these things are connected to one another. The political situation somehow affects sports and vice versa. You have to know what's going on. You have to be curious. One, as somebody told me, you have to be curious. Number two, you have to exercise critical thinking. Be careful with fake news, misleading information, inaccurate information, which are deliberately fed to the public. And then number three, execute. Do what you said you will do. It starts with curiosity. Ano ba ito? I want to learn more about this. Just recently, I'm not a techie, but I'm using this time to learn now how to do a PowerPoint, how to do a functional chart. I'm learning so many functions in the cell phone, and I'm happy because this is the way it is now. It's become very technology driven. It's addressed to you guys, the younger generation. So kailangan sumabay kami sa inyo. Kung hindi, dadamputin kami dito sa pansitan.
Yes, sir. That's very. Thank you very much.
The other thing, no, nothing is going to be perfect. Make do with what you have wherever you are. Okay, in sports, umaasa ka sa gobyerno, nagka-pandemic, nagka-problem sa pera. You do what's the second or third best thing. Basta do something. Okay? And do what you can wherever you are. Keso ikaw nasa Tawi-Tawi or Batanes. If you committed to do something there, do it there.
Yes, opo. That's very interesting, and thank you for your thank you for all of those tips on how to have a very fruitful career like you, sir. So I think Brian, no, if we're done with the PSL questions, are we ready to go to the second part?
May isa
PATAFA ba yan?
may last question ako pero before my last question for PS before close. Sir, ito may interesting question ulit si Gab Ferreras. Is PSL still open for military squads like Army, Air Force, and Navy?
Yes, we are, to the extent that we are a non-professional league. We have that in the national team, in the PSC, in the PATAFA, but they have to be given what is called a DS, a detached service. Okay, and ours will come April 15. They will allow the military now, our military coaches and athletes, to join us in our training camp in May. Without that DS, they cannot. Of course, we are open. They are players. They have talents. They are all they need is probably a team and some support. We're open if they can form a team. Basta it's in accordance with regulations. Ha? Remember, we are now in a national health emergency. Hindi ba yung military ang ginagamit dyan sa mga kumisan na fetching the mga OFWs, bringing them to for swab and all of that. So, ang attitude baka ng military is all hands on deck muna. And they might not allow that. I don't know. It's right now we don't have a situation like that. Although we have some players like si Jovelyn, Gonzaga, and sino meron pa isa eh. There's one or two more. I cannot recall. Senior moments na eh.
Sir, question. You just mentioned about the DS or detachment service for the military athletes. Kasama rin po ba yung mga military athletes under PATAFA or athletics team? May DS na rin po sila
Wala,
para
kasi bibigay nga April 15 daw eh.
sabay-sabay na po yung for volleyball and athletics sa April
Ay, hindi ko
15.
alam yung volleyball. I was requesting for a DS for these athletes and coaches as PATAFA president. Okay.
For athletics is on
National
April
team
15.
kasi. National team. Eh, wala pa naman yatang national team sa volleyball.
Mm.
I think that's the time when they will give exception during this emergency pag national team.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know. I cannot read their minds.
Sir,
And I
I'll
should not read their minds.
Sir, I'll cap the PSL with this question, no. Seeing that you started with the PSL today and looking towards na what yung mga hardships na you put here, is this a your barometer for future leagues during this situation we are in right now?
First, unang-una, follow the guidelines. No? Kailangan MGCQ area. Yun ang unang-una. MGCQ. Number 2, merong provision dyan sa guidelines, 14-day quarantine before the start of the tournament. Meaning, nakabubble na sila. So if your tournament is April 15, April 1 pa lang nandyan yan. Monitor na ng host. LGU, in this case, SBMA. Number 3, follow the instructions, the healthy protocols to the letter. To the letter, because if anything happens there, meron kaming indemnity clause na pinirmahan. Now, it is not going to be SBMA's liability, it will be ours. Okay? So, we have to be very careful about that. And if you do that, our commitment to the IATF, if this becomes serious, we will shut down the league. And we have no qualms about that. Health first. Health and safety of the athletes and the Filipino people. Number 4, pag masyadong mahaba yan, aside from the expense, you are playing around with the mental framework of these people. So yun ang nakikita ko. So there's financial, physical, at saka emotional. That is the only way to look at it in an integrated and comprehensive view. You have to look at it. Sabi ko nga, ang daming moving parts eh. Starting from the testing, no? Testing ngayon, we were allowed to use the saliva test. Sabi nila, ang hirap pala mag-ipon ng laway. Kailangan merong manggang hilaw dyan sa harap mo. Ang hirap pala, sabi nila. O kare-kare, o bagoong sa harap mo. And then I told them about my own experience when we were in a frat and we were initiating some neophytes. And I said, mag-ipon ka nga ng isang balding laway dyan at linisin mo yung aking sapatos. Hindi isang balding laway. Imagine. Oh, it's not
Okay.
getting to be too personal.
Okay, sir. Well, that comes for the part of the PSL part for this live interview. Rika, I'll give it to you to kick off for the PATAFA side.
Yes. Okay. So, of course, sir, lately, EJ Obiena has been raking in some pretty significant wins, and he's been breaking Philippine records. So we want to know what's the latest with him. And next is we want to know how his training is at the moment.
Okay. He has just finished the indoor tournament, indoor season, and the outdoor season will resume for track and field in Europe middle of May. In the United States, it's earlier, mga March, yung kanilang outdoor season. So, EJ is going back to what is called foundation training. Foundation because it's now in preparation for the Olympics. Okay, so everything that he does is laser focused at the Olympics. Yung diet, yung massage niya, yung competitions that he will compete in, his travel. So all of that has to be calibrated and measured. So he's doing that right now. Of course, he has also some administrative duties to take care of. He had to go to the foreign ministry to the immigration to get his permit to stay, and then he has to renew his certain things, and then he has to submit papers to PATAFA for liquidation, because if we don't submit the liquidation, we will not be able to get additional funds for him. No? So naghahalo-halo lahat yan. And then of course there are the ordinary things that he does. He does his own cooking. Ang day nga niya, according to him, is he wakes up around 7:30, looks at the email to see what he has missed or if there are new announcements, has breakfast, and then looks again at the email before going to the track to practice around 9. Yung 9 na yun, up to 12:30. Babalik, pagla-lunch, titingnan yung email, pahinga ng konti, balik na naman sa track, 4 o'clock, and tapos 7:30. So it's pretty hectic. And when he said that he is working his butt off, he meant that. And that's really what's happening. All of these people in PATAFA who are aiming for something are working their butts off, as they should, as they are willingly doing.
Yes, sir. Also, I read in an article that he is with a new coach, part of his team. He has a new coach that is part of his team, Vitaly Pedrov.
Matagal na yun, si Vitaly.
Matagal na. Opo.
since
Still,
ano
he's still working with
Yeah,
EJ.
mga 4 years na yung coach niya, si Vitaly.
Mm.
He is 78 years old.
Wow.
That's why sometimes he cannot accompany EJ dun sa mga outdoor tournaments sa Europe dahil bawal yung mga ano. You see what I mean by saying there are so many moving parts in this thing. He's been with Vitaly. Ang ano rito, Vitaly is not really a full-time coach for the Philippines, but he's giving his full-time because he's employed by the Brazilian Athletics Federation. So his first priority is to coach si Tiago, the defending Olympic champion, who's a good friend of EJ. So pag tinanong mo si EJ, anong schedule? I don't know, sir, because I'll have to ask Vitaly. And when I asked Vitaly says, I don't know, because we have to know from the Brazilian Athletic Federation what they... maangkas lang tayo dito eh. Pero mo, angkas na tayo and we're doing better. Can you just imagine kung solo natin ito?
Wow. So, yun, busy talaga si EJ with his training po.
That's why nga sometimes when he asks me, sir, meron gustong mag-interview sa akin, pwede mo ba i-move na lang natin some other time dahil si Vitaly dahil masyado na ako maraming kailangan magpahinga ako at okay, we will comply. That's why I gently told some media persons the other week kung pwede dahil meron siyang inaasikaso. You have to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, po. Rest is very important in as part of his training program also especially for the Olympics po.
Hindi lang
Sorry,
yan.
Ron, you were saying?
I'll give you an example.
Sige po. Yes
Yung
po.
pole vault na yan, yung pole, problema lagi yan pag nagbabiyahe. Unang-una yung the airlines, sometimes they don't want to carry it. If they do, they will charge you overweight, excess luggage. And if they do, 5 times out of 10, your poles are damaged. My gosh, bibili ka na naman. So what does he do? He will hire a car where he will put his pole there. In the Philippines, hazard yan. Imagine driving 5 hours from Germany, from Poland to Italy, dala-dala mo yung pole mo nandun sa gilid. Ikaw lang nag-iisa nagmamaneho. Ang daming pinagdadaanan nitong batang ito at saka yung mga athletes natin. Hindi biro yan.
Yes po. Sorry, Ron, you were gonna ask something?
Yeah,
Sorry?
sir. I think si EJ po ba before, parang previous year, like he had a problem with his pole ba yun before SEA Games? Parang there was a big tournament that he had a problem with his
He had
pole.
ACL yung 2017 kaya hindi siya nakasali sa Kuala Lumpur SEA Games because the day before he was supposed to depart for the SEA Games, he injured himself practicing at the Ultra, at the Field Sports Oval. So that was career threatening, and it's a wonder that he's been able to survive and even do better. I give credit to his doctor, Dr. Tabera, and the attending and the other physicians, surgeons, assisting Dr. Tabera. No? So yun, naka-recover yan dyan. That was a big, when the father called me up the night before the SEA Games in Kuala Lumpur, about around this time, mga 7, 8 o'clock. Sir, masamang balita. Sabi ko, oh, no. Ano nangyari? Si EJ na damage yung knee. Hindi pa namin alam. Pati tingnan pa bukas. Pinadala yung video and my gosh, it was gruesome.
Pero sa pag-stay niya sa Italy, meron
I'm
naman po
sorry,
siyang while he's training in Italy ba, he has medical team po ba na nakamonitor sa kanya
He
for
has
his
a
recovery?
nutritionist, Mrs. Carol Lafferty. He has a sports psychologist, Dr. Cheryl Kasuga, based in San Francisco. He has a physiotherapist, si Francesco Piscusi. Yun, yung team niya. And then the coach, yun na rin ang physical conditioning niya si Coach Vitaly at saka si Francesco Viscusi.
Sir, how about the other athletes of PATAFA? So aside from EJ, who are other national athletes you are keeping track with, or do they have any tournaments they will be in?
Yung nasa US, there are plenty of tournaments but they keep on getting canceled, no? So bigla na lang yun kay Christina, she had qualified for that February 21 thing, then the snowstorm occurred, so hindi nakatuloy. So what are they doing? They're staying in Orlando and doing their best for 2 weeks for strength and conditioning. And then later on yan, mga middle of March, makakasali na yan sa tournament. But they will have their own bubble in Austin, Texas. So she will hindi pwede yung bubble ngayon sa Texas, nakakagulungan, di ba? Even the water inside the pipe hydrant melted. So, and the Coach Griffin sent me pictures of him shoveling the snow, putting them in calderos, and then boiling them, and then so that the snow melts, and they use the water for toilet water. Laking hirap eh.
Sir, how about the other national athletes who are based here in the Philippines? Do you have plans of sending them abroad for training or for competition?
Una-una, medyo training for abroad, hindi mo makukuha ngayon yan. If you're just training for, let's say, for the SEA Games and the Olympics, you cannot justify it sa PSC, sa government. Hindi you cannot justify. So sabihin sa'yo, dito na lang mag-training, magka-camp. That's what we're going to do. Middle of May, we will write the PSC and say that this is the training for the Southeast Asian Games, and that will be followed by a national open in September at the new Clark City. So wala, you cannot do that now. Uh, Even na yung some players who want to come here, pagpasok na, unang-una yan, 14-day quarantine kagad yan.
Sir, how about the setup para sa bubble? Naisip niyo rin po
Sorry?
ba na magkaroon like bubble setup for training, for
Yeah,
like
we will have
prepare?
that sa track and field middle of May sa New Clark City. So we're doing what we did in 2019 preparing for the Manila Sea Games. We had a training camp in Lingayen, Pangasinan. Okay, courtesy of the governor there. They will there from April, May, June, July, August, September, and then October, nagpunta na sa New Clark City. Imagine that 6 months that these people are training away from their families. And then so we will do that again, and we had very good results. We had 11 gold, 8 silver, 8 bronze. That's 27 gold medals in track and field, something which we have not done yet. Yung ganong karami, I think although maybe 1983, maybe a little higher, no? But I'm not sure now. Yung sa, so we're going to use that approach because it's very effective, dedicated, focused. Yan, walang labasan din yan. Hindi yan. May protocols din yan. Very strict ang PSC. Sila Dr. Molo at sila Dr. The lady doctor.
Okay. So, sir, itutuloy ko na po yung question ni ni Gab kanina. The second one is na-mention daw niyo po last time the status of William Morrison and Natalie Uy na baka hindi sila mag-qualify for Olympics due to some certain reasons. How about yung ibang film trackers po natin like Robin Brown, Kyle Richardson and Aliana Nicolas?
Okay, let's start with si Willie Morrison opted to just train for the SEA Games and not to aim for the Olympics. Apparently has some personal issues there that require his attention. More important to him than the Olympics. Si Natalie Uy sustained a wrist injury which required surgery, and she's just returning now, no? So baka hindi makaabot. If not ready for Olympics, if cannot qualify, she's very much ready again to defend her title in the SEA Games. No, remember she's also the record holder of the SEA Games record. No, all of these people are record holders. I think we broke 6 SEA Games records or 5 last last 2 years ago. No, 1919. Yeah, 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, and so Natalie now si Christina not Christina, si Robin Brown. She got a bronze medal in the last SEA Games in Manila in New Clark. So she's training. She's submitting her report, her weekly report on what she's doing. She doesn't have a coach because she's part-time. I think she's also working. No? We have to check on, for example, Carter Lilly, who was a silver medalist in the 800, missed it by millisecond. And then Aliana Nicolas is trying to make a comeback to the national team. She failed to make the cut, because we're allowed. I think she's in the national pool now, no? She's now in the national pool, but not yet in the national team. That's exactly what the purpose of the September National Open in Clark City is, no? This year. That is going to be the final time trials, the final tryouts for the Vietnam SEA Games. Sila Kyla Richardson and not much we've heard from them, but we assume because they're in school, they're competing, and Zion also supposed to get in touch with the grandmother one of the states to check what's going on with Zion. But when I last talked to her and the mother and the coach, they said that she was going to train for the Olympics.
Sir, how
O
about
sino pa ba?
Eric Ray?
Eric's doing
Do
well.
you
Eric is a
do you think he
veteran. He
can make
knows.
it for for this year's Olympics? He can make a return in the Olympics.
I'm sorry.
Eric Ray, he
Yeah,
competed in Rio.
he's competing in Rio, and he's he wants to come back, and I think he can make it either by ranking or by outright qualification. Ano? Although sa ranking, hindi safe yun dahil nagpapalit yan eh. Ano eh, as there are more fortunately or unfortunately, there are less competitions now. No? So yun, sino pa ba? Well, the homegrown, the homegrown athletes are here. Problema lang, many of them are in the military, like Aris Toledo, our decathlon gold medalist, and Clinton Bautista, our 110 hurdles gold medalist. So, but they said that they are doing their exercises, their routine. No? So, we've got Melvin Calanok, who is in diet, who is still throwing the the javelin yata do sa palayan daw. So
So,
that's what I
sir,
mean by
after their
do
no?
what you can with what you have wherever you are.
So, right after, basta magkaroon po sila ng DS, they can finally focus on their training na the military
Yes.
athletes
Yeah.
on April.
Pinangako sa amin, o baka mali akong pangako, baka sinabi lang sa amin, April 15.
Those military athletes po, saan sila magti-train yan? Are they in a bubble or uuwi
Doon
mo
din sa
sila
New
sa
Park,
province?
sa New Park City, together with the whole, national team. We'll be going there. First we will start with the medalists, 22 of them. But you know, when you train mga medalists, hindi pwedeng kayo-kayo lang eh. You will have to have training partners. So 22, mga 30 yan, plus coaches, 40, maybe we'll have to add 5 or 6 more mga training partners. It's like boxing or karate or taekwondo, yung may kasparing ka.
Okay. So, how about you, Andy? Do you have any questions for us, sir, about PATAFA?
Yes, sir. Sir Philip, I'm interested in knowing moving forward. Let us say that the vaccine has been distributed, and most of the people in the Philippines have been vaccinated. Is there a chance that your age group program will also move forward?
Age
Assuming
group?
with yes, sir, with the younger ages, development there in the youth.
Actually, we have tomorrow the kids athletics ceremonies, no, at 4 o'clock. So it will continue. This is an international
Okay.
commitment. We are only one of 24 countries that the IAF allowed to continue with its kids athletics program because we
See.
were very successful and we gave a good account of ourselves and we were very transparent. All accounts were in order. So tuloy-tuloy yan. And we are committed to that. That is the soul that will be the lifeblood of this sport, just like any other sport or any
Yeah.
activity. Yung bata, the youth. We have to start there. And then we go for the coaches. Tuloy-tuloy yung coaching seminars, technical officials seminars at different levels, level 1, 2, 3. Kasi that is part of the supply chain mo eh. Yung coach at saka yung athlete.
Yes, sir. Is there also a plan to have foreign coaches also for your younger athletes?
It depends. It depends. First, it depends on our situation. Okay, our overall economic situation. Uh, so that's the main factor there. Number two, yung kay AJ, I introduced him and his family in 2013 to Sergey Bubka, the Olympic and world champion pole vaulter from Ukraine. And he has been with that in that area for the last six, five, five, 5 to 6 years. Uh, so you have to see if the person has the guts to continue all throughout. Look, EJ gave up his studies as on leave from electrical engineering at the University of Santo Tomas. And siyempre, he's worried about what happens to him after the Olympics. Anong hanap buhay niya or matatapos pa nga niya. Although I think he's just missing the thesis. And then I think he can graduate. So a lot depends on the attitude of the person. I remember there were some athletes, and I will not mention names, whom we had nominated for training in the US. Ayaw. Number one, malungkot daw. Number two, language problem daw. Sabi ko, okay, hindi mo lang pwedeng pwersa yun eh. All you can do is motivate them, no?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Last question, sir, in connection to your young athletes, who are you most proud of that came from your your younger athletes that had potential before and now is reaping medals because of their hard work?
Well, he is not yet reaping medals because there have been no medals to win, no walang tournament. But he's improving well, and he is engaged in, as you guessed it, pole vault again. Si Hackett de los Santos, our discovery from Ilagan, Isabela, and he stepped up because we had 3 competitions there, no? National Open at saka 2 Southeast Asian Youth. And he expressed interest in the sport. As a result of that, natuto. So now he's doing well. He's now a scholar of the UST, competing at the UAAP, and he's doing well. So Hackett de los Santos has to gain a little weight siguro daw.
Yeah.
So we're proud of him. Of course, we have the weekly relay every year yan. And the weekly relays have produced Lida de Vega, Elma Moros, all of these people. So we continue that tradition. We have Anferni Lupena in the triple jump. Nandyan, they're there. Clinton Bautista is an example. So there are many kids out there. Ang problema yung exposure to the outside world, to the competition, and to a very competitive atmosphere.
Wow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Rika, you have any more questions, Rika?
Yes, sorry. So, sir, you talked about having training partners as one of the most important aspects of training. Here in the Philippines, you think, sir, all of our athletes have sufficient training partners, or do you
Yes.
feel like we can?
Yes, our pool, by and large, yes, except for some very, very specialized events like pole vault, no? We submitted a list of 61 athletes.
Wow.
Athlete by number. By number lang naman yan eh. Babawasan yan after the tryout. So from there, you can get your training partners for the medalists while training in the. For all you know, those training partners will also develop and may even threaten the slot of the principal athlete.
Opo. So they learn also, no? It's also a great
They will
training
be exposed
experience
to
for
the
them.
same technology, to the same meals, to the same rules. So, ang kulang na lang dyan yung
Wow.
motivation at attitude. Pare-parehong
Yes.
kinakain mo, pero kung tamad ka naman, wala nangyayari.
Speaking of motivation and attitude, sir, of course, sabi nyo nga, it's this new normal, this situation we have now poses a lot of challenges for our athletes. Sabi nyo nga si EJ had a lot of things has a lot of things going on for him. So what does PATAFA do to sort of like boost the morale of the athletes and keep them focused on their goals and their competitions?
That's why we want to bring them here already to Manila so that we can all be together as a team and bond with each other. Makakita naman sila ng mga kapwa manlalaro nila at ma-expose na sila ulit dun sa coaches nila. That's actually our term for that is we want to respect and honor our athletes by bringing them here for a training camp.
Definitely,
Kahit,
sir. It must be
kahit
hard if they're isolated.
nandun yun eh, tumatanggap ng allowance. Hindi mo hindi mo pa natetest. Ang hirap. Hindi pwede, hindi tama yun eh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
So,
so
yes.
kung wala nang questions, I
I
think
have a question,
Ah,
Sir
go.
Sir Philip. Kasi you have mentioned that there will be a national open on September.
September na.
Yeah, is this open for national athletes or open for aspiring track athletes who want to be part of the national team?
Okay, ganito yan. Part of the permit to be given is to limit the number of people in the venue. Okay? Ang narinig ko nga eh, no more than 100 at any given time in the bubble. Okay? So, in order to achieve that, and in order to lessen the logistical problems, we have to raise the qualifying standard for the National Open. So probably not too many will make the standard. So ayun, you are invited if you can make the standard. we are sending out invitations to the athletes, but telling them this is the standard. You want to try to make it? Yun. Isa pa nga yun eh, sinabi ko related to that question about turning pro eh. Imagine, pati yun, no, mayroong restriction, ilang magbababol ka na, may restriction pa. So, ang dami-daming bagong kailangan gawin eh. Kailangan mag-adjust eh. Ang hirap-hirap.
So to those who will win or reach the record ba,
I'm
they
sorry?
will be part. So yung mananalo po sa National Open or yung makaka-reach nung record or the target, they can make it to yun yung pipiliin nyo for SEA Games.
Ang ano namin, ang standard namin is that for you to make it to the team, you must at least equal the bronze medal in the last SEA Games.
Pero yung since Vietnam yung host this year, I'm curious if they will add or yung same event from last year's SEA Games, same event pa rin yung ipadadala.
I don't know, pero kami natamaan na ng isa eh. So I wrote to ask that it be reinstated. Yung 4x100 mixed relay, yung sila Eric Ray, sila Eloy sa Luzon yata yun. And we established the new, well, that was the first time the event was held, no? So it's a new record sa 400, mixed relay, 2 men, 2 women. Tinanggal nila, ang iniwan nila yung 4x400 mixed relay. Sabi ko, gold medal yan. Isa yan doon sa 11 na napanalunan natin. Medyo nakakasimplihan na rin yata eh.
Do you think yung
Vietnam in the 4x100 was 3rd or 4th. We were 1st, 2nd, and Thailand, I think 3rd or 4th sila.
Sir, which Southeast Asian country yung pinaka-prepared or pinaka sa tingin yung mabigat na kalaban for SEA Games sa athletics?
Well, going by the statistics sa COVID, the least affected were Vietnam and Thailand, the bigger countries. Let's not talk about Brunei or Laos or Cambodia, which are practically covered, which are not practically really well controlled. No? So malamang yan. Ang Vietnam nga, yung football season nila nagsimula nung last year. May audience. I think in Vietnam there have been only 26 or 30 deaths. Although there was an upsurge. In Thailand also something like that. Hindi malaki, hindi umabot ng 3 digits. So yan, handang-handa yung dalawang yan. Maniwala kayo. Vietnam pa. It will be held in their home territory.
Yeah, true. Roan, okay na?
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you, sir.
Wala na kayo tanong? Rika, no more? No more.
No more.
And
Good.
so
Ako,
kung wala,
ako naman,
yes sir.
ako naman ang may tanong.
Yes sir. Ano po yan?
Iba-ibang periodicals you represent, no?
Yes sir.
Or
Well,
platforms,
ako
iba-iba.
yes, well ako freelance na ako kahit saan.
Okay.
Ewan ko sa kanila. Yun. Pero we just do this yung parang we invite you sa sports. Kasi like si Andy is writing for Sports Bytes po. He's the one specializing in volleyball. That's why I invited him. Kasi mas marami siyang alam yung sa volleyball. Then si Rika naman is a boxer and she also has her
Boxer?
podcast. Boxer po yan.
Yes, sir.
Ano
Pro,
po ako
sir.
niyan?
Pro boxer.
Anong weight category?
Minimum weight, sir.
Minimum weight. Ano ba yun? 100?
Yes po. 105 po.
You know, I used to take up boxing when I was 8, 9 years old. Kaming tatlo magkakapatid at the Philippine Boxing Association, PBA. Doon sa Meligarda, wala. You were just a twinkle in your parents' eyes. That was about 1956, 57, near the San Sebastian Church. May gym doon sa taas. Nandun sila Jackie Trillana, sila Domi Ursua. And you know who was my sparring partner? Si Anthony
Sino,
Villanueva.
sir?
Anthony Villanueva.
Oh.
Kaya
Wow.
nakita kami niya sa New York before the Atlanta Olympics. Sabi niya, kilala ko si sir. Akong ginugulpin mo nun.
For how long did you take up boxing, sir?
2 summers yata yun. Summer lang eh. Mga 3 weeks. Ano.
I'm sure, sir, you still enjoy watching boxing up until now.
Oh yeah, I enjoy watching it. Especially the bouts of si Manny at saka si Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
Tapos si Roan naman sir sa weightlift. Ano ko ba talaga Roan, weightlifter o paiba-iba kasi yung sport. Paiba-iba sa sport.
Nag-retire na po ako sa gymnastics, kaya lumipat po ako sa weightlifting.
Gymnastics ka dati.
Yes po. I stayed in the PSC for PSC dormitory hanggang 20.
Hindi ba sinarado na yan dahil ginamit na for the frontliners?
Yes po. Nung gymnastics po ako nagstay ako. Na doon po ako tumira. Doon po ako lumaki rin sa PSC.
Okay.
Sa Rizal.
Good.
That's why I'm good friends with other athletes po ng PATAFA, ng track and field, ng athletics.
Okay.
Sir, I'm curious, aside from boxing, ano pa yung sports na na-try nyo before?
Volleyball. I was with the NCAA volleyball team ng Lasal, junior, senior. Swimming with the NCAA team also. Track and field, junior, senior sa Lasal. And then, forever high handicapper sa golf.
Nice. Ang daming sports pala.
Yes.
Pero, kasi malaki na rin na itulong nyo sa athletics and now sa volleyball. Do you have other plans or goals pa for the sports here in the Philippines?
Wala na. just to develop the grassroots and win an Olympic medal, preferably gold, and do very well, and yun lang, and justify all of the time the treasure and the talent that we're putting into these things para medyo may dahilan naman, provided some direction. Yun.
Yun.
Yeah. Okay. Ang dami na natin pinag-usapan
nga sir. Sir, before we end this in this live.
Limang artikulo na yan
Sir,
I used to write, remember? I was a
yes sir.
columnist, a star,
Yeah.
for a while, even sa Today, at saka, anyway. Sige.
So sir, before we let you go and end this yung live, pero we'd just like to get your final words, your thoughts before we end this live program.
Well, again, I'll have to say something in the context of the pandemic. all of us are being challenged here, the entire country. And we must do what we can to overcome it because we cannot remain idle and just give up and surrender to this pandemic. We will not let this virus beat us and conquer us. We will have to do something about it, and we will try to, as much as possible, go back to a normal way of life. If this is going to be the normal, na ito may mga swab test and all, so be it. So let's do it that way. But we have to do something. We have to continue the development of sports, the development of athletes, continue to participate as a good member of the international community in international sporting events. So we just have to do it, and we have to do it well, and we have to work hard, and most of all, to work smart. So I think that's the only way. I just want to encourage everyone to support our athletes, pray for them, and wish them all of the success, and that they be injury free in the next several months. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And of course, it wouldn't be possible if not for your son, si Vince. Vince, your parting words, please.
Well, I couldn't have said it better.
Yun,
Yun na yun.
this would not be possible if it were not for Vince, guys. Si Vince ang nag-usap kami ni Vince about this. Okay, so before tapusin din, let's give our my co-host a chance. Let's start with Andy.
Um, yeah, thank you, Sir Philip, for giving us the time to ask you questions, to get to know you better. It's my honor to have met you and have had the time to get to know how you go about your business of being an educator, a businessman, and a sports leader. So many thanks, sir. God bless you.
Thank you.
And another debutant, first time here on Sports
Yeah.
Bytes. The
Uh,
lovely Miss Roanne.
yeah, first of all, thank you for having me here. And thank you, Sir Philip. Ano, there are a lot of inspiring words. Iba, sinave ko talaga. Nagtatype ako while hearing your words na hindi related to sports. Kasi as we all know, di naman lahat, we know Sir Philip as, the sa part ng PATAFA, the PSL. Pero today, we hear about the different uh, words, inspiring words, and nakaka-inspire. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, sino mo bang makakalimutan ko is si Baby Dynamite. Back in action after basta yun na yun. Yes,
Yes.
baby.
So, yes, thank you, Brian. So, thank you so much, Sir Philip, for giving us your time today. And sabi nga ni Roan and ni Andy, it was such an inspiring interview. And you being a Renaissance man is such an inspiring story, and you're continually inspiring us to at least kahit man lang papaano have a little bit of that success that you have and that influence and that meaningful life that you're living right now. And also, I would like to thank Brian, Godfather. Thank
So,
you for having me today. And also, I would like to thank our other hosts. Thank you, Andy, Roan, and Vince. Thank you so much. Ang dami ko ring natutunan today. I'm not really, hindi ako maalam sa volleyball and of course sa track and field, but it was really a learning experience for me.
Thank you.
alright. And as for me, well, I just like to congratulate. Thank you, Sir Philip and Vince. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Andy and Rowan. Rowan, ang galing nyo. Pwede na kayo.
Yay!
Actually, sir, baptism of fire ng dalawa ngayon. Si Andy tsaka si Rowan.
Yes. Oo, ang dali ng trabaho natin, Godfather,
Oo.
di ba? Oo.
So anyway, thank you to everybody who watched us tonight. And if you want to find out our next, tomorrow meron kami. We'll talk about FIBA. I will be with PBA player Tony De La Cruz, Coach Chris Daleo, and another writer for Sports Bytes and veteran journalist Henry Lau. Good night, everybody. Take care. God bless. Happy weekend.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank you so much,
night.
Brian.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
Good night.
night.
Brian.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Andy, all of that.
So
Thank
if
you,
you
sir.